Hi, and a warm welcome to this session that we have named How New Consumption Behaviors and Technologies Can Reduce the Textile Footprint. With me on stage, I have a great panel, but also on link, Emma Garrote from Gina Tricot. But let's start with you, Jasmine, the CEO of Altitude Meetings and the organizers of this event, Get Ready for COP26.
Yes.
But I've heard you just been moderating another event concerning textiles as well, right?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, it was actually, obviously you're going to talk a lot about that because we know that textiles, we have a massive challenge ahead because we have a huge climate footprint from the textile industry. We need to actually work on that. And so the webinar just prior to this was about actually renting more. How can we actually stop consuming or buying more and having a more of a rental service? And we had Elise as the host, and Elise has been working with this as a service to the hotel and restaurant and so forth area, and it's been there for ages, so it's natural. But how do you move from business to business to actually business consumer and having people to rent instead? And we had also Volvo carpools. How are they working with changing behaviors? And as well IKEA, who is starting now to lease out furnitures.
Sounds super interesting.
Yeah.
And if you missed that, you can watch it afterwards as well.
Yes.
Right? Where can you find it?
It's on thebridge.se. So in the beginning of next week, you will be able to see everything. And you know that we have hosting, we have a parallel track going on now on construction. So if for some reasons you don't want to listen to textiles, you won't miss anything because everything will be recorded, so you can see that part later. Or if you see this one and say, well, all my colleagues should have seen it, they can see it later on.
And if they want to see it again because it's so great.
And again. Yes.
And after this, what will happen? Do you want to give a teaser for
Yes,
for the next event as well?
we will continue in talking a little bit about closing actually the loop. I think we will just take from wherever you will end, and we will continue the discussion because it's a never-ending story. Well, hopefully sometime, but that's what we're going to do.
It's a busy day for you, right?
It's a busy day.
Yeah, so
we have a lot to do.
But if you want to chat with us, how do you do this in Hopin? Or?
You are now in Hopin, and you can see on the side that you have a chat. Write your questions there, and you have colleagues on board that will answer those directly.
Chat.
And if you have anything else, just comment to us or the organizers. You just use the chat and go ahead.
Thank you so much for stopping by.
Good luck.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Jasmine. So let me shortly introduce the panel before we get into the problem. Right. Jasmine mentioned it. It's a serious problem. We're going to talk about the climate footprint of textiles. But with me today, I have Paul Botwid. You're the founder of a company, a pretty new company. Please don't leave me.
Exactly.
We have Anna Vilén. You're a communications manager at Sysav.
Yes.
Yeah. And on link, we have Emma Garrote from Gina Tricot. So welcome, everybody. Nice to see you. So we're going to talk about climate and textiles. And production of textiles comes, of course, with huge problems. Enormous water consumption, pesticides, work environment, even child labor. And I think we are more or less all of us are aware of these problems. But not everybody might think of climate problems as well when it links to textiles. But when it comes to textiles, it is the single product that we consume that has the highest climate footprint of all, actually. So there's good reason to address textiles at this COP event because here we can all do a big difference. And that's what we're going to address today. We're going to address it from different perspectives. But before we get started, I just want to talk about the problem a little bit more. Because if we're going to find a solution for the problem, we need to know what the problem is. So we're going to get back to the climate soon, but I just want to mention a little bit about, for instance, chemicals. If you knew that cotton, for instance, is sprayed up to 40 times during its life until it gets picked. And for production of 1 kilo of textiles, you need 1 kilo of chemicals. And this pollutes groundwater in the countries where these garments are produced, and that's not here in Sweden today. We are not very aware of our footprints happening abroad. When it comes to water use, we know that this is draining wells, that the groundwater level are decreasing all over the world. And the shortage of water is a really big problem today. Up to 3 billion people today are affected by shortage of water. And this water is, of course, necessary for growing food for these people. And this number is growing. So, but getting back to the climate. The climate emissions are because of the production in these countries are using old technology, where often coal is the source of energy. And we also have transportation, of course, but we have to remember that 80% of the climate impact is in production of the textiles that we use and the clothes we use. So I'm just going to give you the numbers of the rest of the 20%, just so you can know where we might fix parts of the problem, except for the production. The climate impact is 3.1% distributing the goods to the shops, 3%. 10% is when we go to the shop. If you take a car, it's actually 22%. About 3% is when we wash them, and about 3% is when we throw them away, the cost of waste management. But once again, the major impact is 80% at production. So that's just laying the floor for what the problem is today. Now, to our panel. I'm going to start by giving you 3 quick questions to answer. Keep it brief. You have about 3 minutes each. And the 3 questions are, tell me a little bit about the business you represent. What do you do? What is your role at the company? Okay. And do you have a favorite piece of clothing? What is it and why is it your favorite? And I want to start with Emma on link. 3 questions. Try to keep it brief.
Yes. So my name is Emma, and I work at Gina Tricot. And Gina Tricot is a Swedish company that sells clothes to women mainly, clothes and fashion. We have approximately 150 stores in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Finland. And we also have an own online shop that covers more than 27 countries. And we also have a growing B2B channel. So I would say that we are one of the largest companies in Sweden producing and selling clothes. And my role, I'm the sustainability and production manager in Gina Tricot. So my everyday work is to make sure that we can be proud of our product with a focus on the suppliers and the production, because it's there where we have the most impact. And like you said before, 80% of the impact come from in the production country. So it's important that we are targeting this area the most also, I would say. And my favorite garment is what I'm wearing today. Of course, it's a garment from Gina Tricot. It's a collection made together with Anna Vilén, who is one of the most famous profile within the remake industry. And there are soon from old men's shirts and men's blazers transformed into ladies' fashion. So it's vintage and it's remade, and we made them together with an amazing supplier. They are called Beyond Retro. Perhaps you know them. So it's a lot of nice things to be proud of for this collection, this garment.
Absolutely, great, thank you. It looks great on you too. So, Paul, are you up for answering those same 3 questions? You remember them, right?
For sure, yeah. So as you said, my company is very newly started this year. Just a month back, I released the first collection. It's called Please Don't Leave Me. And the idea behind the company is to produce high quality, basic garments made from 100% recycled materials. And our first product is a t-shirt that's made from 50% recycled cotton and 50% recycled PET bottles, plastic bottles. And like the one I'm wearing right now, sample one.
Great.
And my role at the company is basically doing everything right now. I am the founder, I'm building the web shop, I am in contact with the factories, designing the clothing and the graphic profile.
You do everything.
I do everything, basically, hoping to start small and grow from there. And my favorite piece of clothing, I guess I would have to say a T-shirt.
Of course.
And of course, I wanted to produce my favorite T-shirt. Otherwise, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, as soon as you have made something, your favorite piece of clothing is probably the one you're already imagining coming after that.
All right.
So,
great.
Working on it.
Thank you. Anna.
Yeah.
Same 3 questions.
So,
we work at the same company, so
yes.
I'm interested to see how you describe our.
Well, I work with
company.
communications at Sysav, and we are a recycling company in southern Sweden, and we are owned by 14 municipalities, and we handle both household waste and industrial waste, close to 1 million tons a year, actually. And as a recycling company, we are on this super amazing and exciting journey towards from dealing with waste to actually being a supplier of circular materials and becoming a major part in a future circular economy. We are now also pioneers in closing loops for textile. With our new the new sorting technique, which we will talk more about later.
And you're going to see a film about that too, right?
Yeah. And for my favorite piece of clothing, well, I have one politically correct answer, and that would be a pair of jeans. I'm not wearing them today, but a pair of jeans that I've worn close to 500 times, I would say. But my true love, and if I had to admit, that's a gorgeous silk dress that I've only used a couple of times. So I'm still working on reducing the both the cost and the footprint for this dress. But
by using it longer, you mean?
Yes. Yeah. 2020 was not a good year for parties, but
no.
But that is the thing about. I really love this dress, and that's what we're going to talk about. Yeah. Because that's the thing about clothes. They evoke feelings. Fashion is fun. We like clothes. It's a way to express who we are. It's a big hobby and an interest for many of us. So we don't want to take the fun out of fashion, but we need to change the way that we consume textiles today because it's not sustainable.
No. And this is the problem. The fun is part of the problem because it's also a sense of need that is based on maybe driving forces that we are not always aware of. And we have a situation today that we are actually standing in front of full closets and thinking we have nothing to wear, which is very interesting. There's more clothes than ever before on the market, and we consume more than ever before, right? And we as a waste company, we know that this is just like all kinds of waste today. We are really, really good in Sweden of treating waste. We have the best technology in the world together with a few countries. But even though we are the best in the world, so to speak, we actually impact the environment and the climate a little bit more today than we did back in the days when we put everything on landfill. Why? Well, because the amount of waste has increased dramatically over the years. So there's more and more waste to handle. And now I'm going to swear in the church, so to speak, being from a waste company, recycling is not good for the planet. It's bad for the planet. It's just better than dumping, but it still costs. You have to add energy, new chemicals, new materials, virgin materials in that process of recycling. So recycling alone, good technology alone, won't fix the problem. We have to address the behavior. We have to address the amount of waste. So if we're going to talk about the amount of waste, Anna, how much clothes and textiles are we going to talk about? Can you give us some numbers?
Well, globally, 100 million tons of new textiles are put onto the market. And these are numbers from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. So we have globally 100 million tons are put on the market, and we like 12% are recycled in some way, not as new textiles. Only a few percent are recycled as new fibers. Yeah. And I think it's 74% of what is put on the market that ends up in as incinerated or in landfills. Yeah. Some of it as microplastics in the ocean. So the numbers are not good, and I think that is one of the most common misunderstandings when it comes to textiles, that you think that you just assume that textiles are recycled in the same manner as maybe glass or metal, or it becomes new textile.
Yeah.
And that is not the case.
And what was the number of actual recycling of textiles in Sweden today, of clothes? It's less than 1%, I read somewhere, of fiber to
Well,
fiber.
yeah, maybe between 1% and 3%.
And that's almost nothing.
Yeah.
So there's room for improvement. And we're going to talk about the improvements in a while. Okay, so we're going to get back to the panel. I want to hear a little bit about your take on sustainability. And this time we'll start with you, Paul. What is your take on sustainability? How do you work? How do you address these problems? And how's it going? And what are your goals?
Well, as you said, recycling is really not a solution to the climate problem. It's only better than producing something new. And that's why what I'm trying to do with this company is to never really produce lots and lots of clothing. I mean for this to be really an alternative to going secondhand shopping and only produce the things that you can actually search for a really long time in a secondhand shop and never find. I think we've all, who are secondhand shoppers of us, have gone to secondhand stores looking for a really good t-shirt, for example, and just picking out all the ones that look good, and then you just see this big like heavy metal band logo on the back of it, and you can never find the right one. So I think those kinds of garments that you keep looking for in secondhand stores and you never find, those I think make sense to produce out of recycled materials. But in the end, you see so many companies nowadays producing out of organic materials or recycled materials, or only maybe half organic or half recycled, that are claiming, their narrative almost claims that the more you buy, the better it is for the planet. Like, buy more, you save the planet more, which seems, it's the same kind of narrative as saying like, you get 50% on this thing that you're going to buy. That doesn't mean that you save money, right? You're still spending money on it. And the same works for like climate impact.
And this is the setup today, that we try even to shop our way out of a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Emma, same question to you. Your take on sustainability at Gina Tricot. How's it going and what are your goals?
Well, I agree there with the former speaker. I really think that we need to shop less and consume less. I mean, sustainability is a very broad area, but if we will angle it towards the consuming behavior, I would also say that one key is to produce less but better, because we also have to have in mind that the garments will last for a long time, that we have to make the garments, they have to be made to last from the beginning. And I think that that is the only way to go actually for the future, that we need to fill our garments with more love, better materials, and perhaps also use, secondhand materials, not only recycled materials. And to do remake, we need to have better materials. We need to produce them in a better way so they will last. We say in Swedish, färre men värre, less but more in English. And I think that is a very good expression to capture what I want to say. And of course, garments have to be more expensive than they are today, because I think that is one way to make the consumer treasure them more. Garments cannot be too cheap or like less pricey. They have to have a value, and that is you have to, and also as a retailer or as a brand, you need to make money, and you need to add this love, and it costs money, of course, in the product.
But this requires a new behavior from our consumers. How do you work to establish that relationship with the consumer so they are willing to pay more? Yes,
but if we increase the price, we fill the product with more love, better materials, of course. And if we also dare to increase the price, the consumer behavior will go down, right? Because the money won't last for 10 t-shirts. It might last for one t-shirt, or, that's my meaning. So I think that is really, really necessary. If you want to, you need to produce better and less, then automatically the consumer behavior will go down.
Anything you want to add to that, Paul?
Yeah, I think it's a very difficult thing to answer, because as long as we keep triggering the consumers to buy more by saying that the product that we're selling now is better than the one that came last year. I don't know, it's very hard to be in this business, I feel already after such short time, and not be a hypocrite. Because you want to produce something new and you want to sell it, but at the same time you're claiming that your product is better for the planet than others. So I don't know the answer to that.
So you need a different business model altogether, perhaps.
Maybe.
Where how you make money is not by selling new clothes. We had the opportunity to talk last week with Kevin Gelsey at Nudie Jeans, and they add on a service that you can repair your jeans that you buy from them for free. And they actually repaired 2019 60,000 pair of jeans for their customers. And by doing so, they, as he said, are establishing a relationship with their customers, so they maybe can change the business model completely in the future. You want to add something, Anna?
Yeah, and we can see this emerge of plenty of new circular business models, right? We have several Swedish ones. Nudie is a great example, and we have like Gem Collective, where you can rent clothes. That's really upcoming, and I think many brands will work with this as well. And we have also the even more repair services, and that you can. Like Patagonia, where it's actually cool that your garments are a bit torn and used. That's part of the branding story.
Yeah.
But we also have these massive amounts of post-consumer material that we really need to do something with.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that soon.
Yeah.
So just a final question. Are there anything you want to see that we can take with us from this event up to Glasgow for the climate meeting, for the politicians, the legislators, the people with power? What do we need to see from politics and legislators? Anything you want in a...
I think maybe some tax reductions for repairment, for example.
Even more than we have in Sweden, perhaps. Yeah, we have some here in Sweden, but
yeah, and also in Europe.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll talk about that later. But we also need some kind of transparency for the consumer to be able. We're talking about the true pricing of stuff, that you pay a market price and you add the social and the environmental costs. For the consumer, so it's and the traceability in the system. What material is this made of? Who made my clothes? Where did this happen?
Paul, you want to add something?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we need to have higher demands on traceability, on social and economic responsibility for the companies, for it to not be such an opaque bubble to try and get into, especially when it comes to the big clothing giants.
Yeah. Great. Do you want to see that you have to have recycled materials in new production, for instance? Because they're in the new circular package from the government here in Sweden. They are now addressing this problem that maybe we need requirements of using recycled materials. That would benefit your company. You will have a big advantage then.
Definitely. Then I would have a head start.
Yeah, because it's 100% recycled materials.
It is, yes.
Yeah. You can say that over and over. 100% recycled materials in that T-shirt. And where does it come from, your material?
My material comes from a recycling facility in Spain called Tex, which I just heard will now start receiving some of their material also from Malmö, from Sysav.
Yeah, so we're actually closing loops in Malmö.
Cool.
That's amazing.
Emma, do you want to add anything before we move on?
No, I agree with you. We should have, some EU laws and regulations for chemicals, transparency in the supply chain, and also for companies to have a producer responsibility. And I would say that this demands needs to come from an EU level. It cannot only be local in Sweden. I think that it's really, really important.
Great, thanks. Anna, how can we as a waste company now contribute towards reducing the textile footprint? What's our job as a waste company?
Well, I would say one part of our job is raising awareness and spreading knowledge and inspiring people to be smarter in their consumption, and talk about what people can do to reduce their footprints, and just inspiring people. But we also have the technology, right? Yeah. Because we deal with these massive amounts of waste and the textile, and we're just right new in the textile. As part of the textile industry, actually, we have the world's first facility for automatic sorting at an industrial scale, and we'll be able. And this has been the missing link in order to scale up recycling. Syptex, and we will see a film in short.
Just in a minute.
But I would say that is, so we have that's our two, both the knowledge and the technique.
And you were one of the people behind a very successful campaign that we had a few years back called Forfeit Challenge. Can you just tell me a little bit about
Challenge.
that?
Yeah, that was
about raising the awareness you talked about.
That was a campaign in social media where you were supposed to pick 4 pieces of garment and use these 4 pieces and for a week and combine them how you wish and share your stories in social media and that was a huge success. We had thousands of people doing this and being really grateful because it evokes a lot of thoughts.
Yeah.
What quality what in my wardrobe do I actually use? What quality do I prefer? How should I think when I buy? How can I combine different pieces?
And
of
also
clothes?
changing norms about it's okay to wear the same clothes 2 times in a row at work, for instance, because many feel the pressure that you have to look new every day, right? So. Thank you. Now we're going to get back into your little favorite subject, the Syptex machine or plant, as we call it, for textile sorting. And we're going to start with that by actually showing you a film about how Syptex works. So we're going to roll the little film now.
Hej, jag heter Rustan Nilsson. Jag arbetar på Sysav, ett miljöföretag i södra Sverige. Vi återvinner avfall och återför resurser till samhället. I den här filmen ska jag visa Syptex, världens första storskaliga automatiska textilsorteringsanläggning som finns hos oss här i Malmö. Vi på Sysav vill bidra till en mer hållbar värld och det gör vi bland annat genom att leverera nya råvaror av återvunnet material. Vi vet att textilier har en stor klimat- och miljöpåverkan och vi vet också att de återvinns i allt för liten grad idag och det vill vi ändra på. Syptex, som står för Svensk innovationsplattform för textilsortering, är länken som saknats i den textila värdekedjan. Det hela började som ett forskningsprojekt där stora modebolag, myndigheter, sorterare, återvinnare och andra aktörer gick samman för att sluta cirkeln. Och nu är Syptex en färdig anläggning. Så här funkar det. Nu har vi fått in en order på blå denim och Syptex sorterar både efter fibertyp och efter färg. Det börjar här, där den osorterade textilen matas in i anläggningen. Inuti sitter en trumma med piggar som delar upp balen. Nu åker textilen vidare på transportband för att fördelas så jämnt som möjligt. När textilen når en av sensorerna här blir den belyst med så kallat nära infrarött ljus. Ljuset studsar upp och bildar ett spektrum som gör att maskinen kan avgöra vilken fibertyp det är. Den fibertyp som vi vill sortera ut blir ivägblåst med hjälp av tryckluft till ett separat band. Anläggningen har 3 sensorer och kan alltså sortera ut 3 olika fibertyper samtidigt. Den valda textilen, i vårt fall blå denim, går igenom ett reningssteg där samma typ av sensor sorterar bort det som eventuellt hamnat fel. Nu är textilen färdigsorterad och går in i balpressen där den packas till en bal som är redo att gå vidare till materialåtervinning. Så, här har vi kvalitetssäkrad råvara, redo att gå vidare till nästa steg i den textila värdekedjan.
Unfortunately, we lost the English texting at this time. We're going to add it on the recording that we're going to put on the website later on. So, and if you already now want to see the English version, you go to YouTube. You just put in Sysav, Syptex, and you're going to find this film available with English texting. So, sorry about that. But most of you probably understood what happened anyway. So, Anna, what happens with these baled goods now that we're delivering from this amazing machine?
It can move on to the next step in the value chain, which is recyclers, both mechanical and chemical. And the aim for Siptex is that is as high quality recycling as possible, fiber to fiber, where the textile actually can become new textile again. Some of it will be downcycled and used as stuffing in cars and noise reduction. Yeah. But as much as possible to become T-shirts for Paul, for example.
Yeah, fiber to fiber.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So closing the loop. Great. Emma, you are part of the Siptex as well, the project. Why did you join this Siptex project?
Well, can I just say, wow, I mean, it's amazing to see what you have achieved and to see this picture of the machine that is really, I mean, it's a reality. It's not only a picture. And it was very hard to imagine this when we were entering the project in 2017 as a supportive partner. And an eloge to you that you really made it happen. It was hard to imagine it back then. But we joined the project because we wanted to have a supplier or a partner that could handle our clothes that we are collecting from the stores. But it's also important for us that we are sorting the clothes so that only the clothes that can't be used again will end up with you. So our flow go via Human Bridge and via them, it's back to you. And
that's perfect. And thank you for addressing that right away, because now we're going to talk about the other perspective of the textile problem, so to speak, when it comes to behavior. So as you mentioned, clothes that has a value that still can be used, we don't want to put into this machine, right? So we also have another film now we're going to see, because this is also how we address the problem when it comes to inspiring people to upcycle and redesign. We now recently shot a really cool catwalk in this plant for our upcycle challenge, this year's upcycle challenge that was called Redenim 2021, where we gave designers who entered the competition denim cloth or denim textiles from Siptex, and they had 17 days to upcycle and redesign and use this material to create something brand new. And we had 4 winners in 4 different categories, and now you're going to see the film of the 4 winners, just a clip out of this upcycle challenge. So let's roll that film. What a great show, eh? So this was part of a redesigning contest, and the winners didn't just win money, they also won a couple of other things, Anna. What did they win? You were part of the jury, right?
Yes, I was. That was a great honor with the great contestants and amazing work from everybody, and also an amazing reactions. We had 4,241 people voted on our Instagram account. Yeah. But they had some prize money, but also the opportunity to try their concept to upscale their concept.
Great.
And also be part of the Southern Swedish Design Days by Fredman Design Center.
Cool. And there, that's in the end of May, I think. You have the chance to see all the 12 finalists in a longer version of this film. So that was a really, really fun thing to do for a waste company, exceptionally glamorous. It's not always like that in the waste industry, I'll tell you. Now, we have one topic left before we're going to close this session. We're going to talk about the future, or as a matter of fact, we are in the future. Now we're going to pretend we're in 2030. The Sustainable Development Goals have been achieved. We made it. We saved the planet, or shall we say, we saved ourselves. Now the question for the panel is, how did your industry or your company contribute to this success of reaching the Sustainable Development Goals? Paul, we'll start with you.
Yeah, well, for me, my hope for this company is to continue to always adopt the newest and best possible resources to create new clothing. For example, like there is an initiative called Renewcell here in Sweden that will actually produce very strong virgin material from recycled materials. And that is something that would be amazing for the future. Hopefully in 2030, there will be lots of clothing produced from materials like that.
Yeah.
Also, just dreaming would be a facility that produces clothing on demand, not producing clothing at all in collections, but actually being able to input your sizes and your garment will be produced exactly for you when you need it.
All right. Interesting. Emma, how did Gina Tricot contribute of reaching the Sustainable Development Goals?
Well, I'm positive and I hope we will survive this. As you said, it will be a challenge. I think that if we can change, I mean, we have a very diversified supply chain and a very diversified product as well. So it's really, really complicated for us to change. But I mean, we are really doing this and we are step by step doing it better and better each day. And if we can do this, I mean, then we could also inspire others. And I think that if we can do it, everyone else can do it as well. So, and it's also important that we will team up with partners like you and also like Renewcell that we've also been partners with or supporting for a couple of years. And I think that if we team up with these great new innovation and new scientists and that we are open-minded in this area, I definitely think that we will succeed. I'm hopeful and positive about that.
Great, thank you. And Anna, how can we on Sysav, a regional waste company, be part of saving the planet?
Well, first of all, I hope that we have inspired people so that we actually minimize the waste and people use their clothes for longer and repair. And it's just that we need to increase the utilization rate for clothes a lot. And when it eventually does become waste, that we are a supplier of raw material. And I hope that in 2030 that we don't, because we have reached peak cotton, so that we have, and the Siptex facility is the first of its kind in the world, but we need more of them so that we stop using virgin materials and actually make use of what is already produced. That I hope for 2030.
Yeah. Is there room for fast fashion 2030, Paul?
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
I think that might be room for ultra fast fashion in the sense of new materials like made of material that can be decomposed and become soil again, so that we have like the biological circular systems.
All right. But decomposing isn't maybe. Oh, yes, Emma, please.
Sorry. Can I just say something that fast doesn't need to be bad? If we can take this word back and transform it into something good, I mean, produce clothes and local, that is fast. Produce with materials that is already there. I mean, that is also fast, because being fast is also meeting the customer demand and producing things they want to buy. But of course, I mean, it's difficult, but I mean, fast doesn't need to be a bad word. So I think we need to take that back. That word.
But are there room for to continue with trends in the same way as we do today then?
Not fast trends, perhaps, in that manner we have today, but I still think there will be trends. I mean, today it's a big trend to have a trench coat. And I mean, a trench coat's been in fashion for many, many years. But I think the problem is the really, really fast trends, but not trends. I mean, that will always be there. I mean, people want to be creative and express themselves with clothes. I think we also need to have room for that we want to have our diversity, and we don't want to look the same, everyone, either.
No, we want to be individuals, but in the same way behaving like everybody else. Anna.
Yeah, and maybe we can see a smarter design, even if we do keep these trends, that we can have smarter design in monomaterials, which makes it easier to recycle or to just pick apart and make something new out of it, so it doesn't even become waste.
No. You want to add something before we?
Well, one way to keep trends and keep fast fashion, so to say, is to actually go for initiatives like the one you were talking about, where we're actually renting more clothing, we're borrowing clothing, in a system where we don't have to own everything, and that way we can keep jumping on every new trend. The trend goes with one garment through 100 people instead of each one getting their own.
Yeah. And how are you going to make money in such a new world?
Well, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll have to start something new.
All right.
That will be the best, I guess.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us here at the studio at Altitude Meetings. I think there were many wise things that we could send to people at Glasgow at COP26. Thank you so much, Emma, for joining us on Link. And everybody, if you want to read more about the SITEX project, you can find it on our website, sysav.se. You can find the YouTube film, once again, with English text on YouTube as well. And you can read more about Gina Tricot's work for sustainability in the fashion industry at their website. And you have a lot on your website as well, where you're addressing the problem as well, but also giving people a solution.
Yeah.
Thank you so much once again, and have a great day. Bye-bye.